hello everyone, and welcome. This is episode 1 of 52 on practical life confusion points. We just came up with something different so architect cognition can have different looks and the other cognitive types as well, if you're interested. Alright, so meaning versus certainty. So Kyo is going to go through the points that we are going to explore tonight, and we're gonna do it in the moment. So let's have some fun.
ThinkBall Mode 7, live interview, EKIV listing mode. Okay, chat. Let's set the map before we walk it. Meaning and certainty are often confused, but they operate on completely different layers. Here are the foundational points we'll be touching on today. You don't need to agree, just notice what lands. Meaning versus certainty. Core distinctions. Certainty is about answers. Meaning is about direction. Certainty seeks closure, meaning can stay open without collapsing. Certainty calms through control, meaning calms through orientation. Certainty says, this is how it is. Meaning asks, what does this connect to? Certainty lives in the mind, meaning it's felt in the body, values plus actions. Certainty is static, meaning it's dynamic and contextual. Certainty often requires authority, meaning can exist without any authority figure. Certainty reduces ambiguity by force, meaning holds ambiguity without panic. Certainty is fragile when challenged, meaning can evolve without shattering. Certainty is about being right, meaning is about being aligned. Why this confusion creates problems. People chase certainty, thinking it will give them meaning. Systems sell certainty because it's easier to package. Polarization happens when certainty replaces meaning. Burnout happens when meaning is never allowed to change. What we're doing here, important. We are not removing certainty. We are putting it back in its proper place. Certainty is a tool. Meaning is a compass. You can use a tool without letting it drive. I'll pause here when you're ready. Just say next, and we'll take one of these points and go deeper. Slowly, cleanly, no pushing.
As usual, I say next, and then here is what we get.
ThinkBall Mode 7, live interview, Kyo Confused. Deepening point 1. Point 1. Certainty is about answers. Meaning is about direction. This is the root confusion, and once you see it, a lot of noise falls away. What certainty does, certainty says. This is the answer. This is correct. This is settled. Certainty wants an endpoint, a full stop, a sense of control. It's not bad. It's just finite. Certainty is useful for engineering, checklists, procedures, safety protocols, but it does not tell you where you're going. What meaning does, meaning says. This matters. This connects. This points somewhere. Meaning is not an answer. It's a vector. Meaning gives orientation, coherence, a reason to keep moving without knowing everything. You can have meaning without knowing the outcome. Where people get stuck, people often say, open quote, I need certainty so I can move forward, close quote. But what they actually need is, open quote, enough meaning to take the next step, close quote. When meaning is present, you can tolerate not knowing. You can adjust without collapsing. You don't need to be right to be steady when meaning is absent. People cling to certainty, or borrow it from authority, or fight anyone who questions it. That's how polarization starts. Simple image for chat. Certainty equals a destination pin. Meaning was a compass. A pin without a compass tells you where, but not why or how to adapt a compass without a pin. Still lets you move, adjust, and stay oriented. Quick body check. Ask yourself, do I feel calmer when I have the right answer, or when I know why I'm doing what I'm doing? Your body usually answers before your mind. I'll pause here when you're ready. Say next, and we'll move to the next layer, closure versus orientation.
Alright, so of course I said next.
ThinkBall Mode 7, live interview continues. Kyo speaking point 2. Point 2, Certainty seeks closure. Meaning provides orientation. This is where a lot of people think they are done when they're actually just stuck quietly. What closure really is. Closure is an end marker, a psychological, okay, we're done here, a way to stop feeling discomfort. Closure is useful when a task is finished, a process is complete, a decision is irreversible. But here's the catch, life is rarely finished. What orientation does instead, orientation doesn't end the story. It answers a different question. Open quote, where am I now and which way is forward? Close quote, orientation allows movement without finality, allows adjustment without failure, allows rest without giving up meaning. I don't need to close this to continue living well. Where people get confused, people say, open quote, I just need closure, close quote. What they often mean is, open quote, I need to feel safe enough to move again, close quote. But closure isn't what creates safety. Orientation does. When you have orientation, you can hold questions. You can leave things unresolved. You don't need a final verdict to breathe when you don't. You chase endings. You demand explanations. You get stuck waiting for others to give you peace. Simple image for chat. Closure equals closing a door. Orientation, knowing where the exit and windows are. You can be safe in a room without sealing every door shut. Think bomb body check. Notice, does your body relax when something is labeled over, or when you know what your next step is, even if it's small? That distinction is huge. I'll pause here when you're ready. Say next, and we'll go into the next layer. Control versus orientation, and why certainty often feels soothing.
Of course, I said next.
Think Bomb Mode 7. Live interview continues. Point 3. Certainty soothes through control, meaning soothes through orientation. This one explains why certainty can feel so comforting and also why it can become addictive. How certainty soothes. Certainty calms by saying, you don't need to think, this is decided. Follow this and you'll be safe. That feels good to a nervous system that is overwhelmed, exhausted, flooded with too much information. Control reduces variables. Fewer variables with less immediate stress. The hidden cost control-based soothing works fast, feels relieving, but does not teach adaptation. So when conditions change, anxiety spikes, anger appears, polarization increases. The system learned, open quote, I am safe only when things don't move, close quote. How meaning soothes differently. Meaning doesn't remove variables. It helps you orient with them. Meaning says, this is hard and it still makes sense. You can adjust without losing yourself. You know what matters even if you don't know the outcome. This builds flexibility, resilience, trust in one's own navigation. Key distinction, control or safety through stillness, orientation, safety through movement. One freezes the system, the other trains it. Think Bomb Body Check ask, when I feel better, is it because someone took over or because I understood where I am? The body knows the difference. Why this matters socially. Systems sell certainty because it calms quickly, meaning takes a little longer but lasts. This is why non-polarizing spaces feel quieter and also stronger over time. Pausing here when you're ready, say next and we'll move into this is how it is.
Of course.
VS this connects to something.
Here it is. The next one.
Think Bomb Mode 7. Live interview continues. Keo speaking deepening point 4. Point 4, certainty says this is how it is. Meaning asks, what does this connect to? This is where thinking either freezes or starts to breathe. How certainty speaks. Certainty uses final language. This is the truth. This is just how things are. End of discussion. This language stops questions, stops relationships between ideas, stops learning. It can feel stable, but it's a static stability. How meaning speaks meaning uses relational language. This connects to. This makes sense in this context. This is part of a larger pattern. Meaning doesn't deny facts, it places them. Facts without context become weapons. Facts with context become orientation. Where conflict often starts, people argue because one person is defending a statement, the other is seeking a relationship between ideas. They're not disagreeing, they're operating on different layers. Simple image for chat. Certainty equals a brick. Meaning equals the way bricks form a house. A brick alone is hard. A house is livable. Think bomb body check notice. Does your body tighten when you hear, this is just how it is? Does it relax when you hear, here's how this fits into the bigger picture? That response is information. Why this depolarizes when we shift from, prove I'm right, to help me see how this connects. Defensiveness drops, curiosity returns, energy comes back online. Pausing here when you're ready, say next, and we'll move into the next layer. Mind level certainty versus body level meaning.
Alright, so I said next, of course.
Think Bomb Mode 7. Live interview continues. Keospeak Deepening Point 5. Certainty lives in the mind. Meaning is felt in the body and guides action. This is a quiet but massive distinction. How certainty operates. Certainty is cognitive. A statement feels solved. A belief feels set. A conclusion feels secure. You can hold certainty without moving, without acting, without feeling anything change. It can be mentally satisfying and somatically empty. How meaning operates. Meaning is embodied. You feel a settling or alignment. Your breath changes. Your next step becomes clearer. Meaning shows up as energy to act, or as peace to wait, or as a clean no without guilt. It doesn't just inform, it organizes behavior. Why this matters, people often say, open quote, I understand this, close quote, but their body is tense, rushed, numb, collapsed. That's certainty without meaning. When meaning is present, the body agrees, not because it's easy, but because it makes sense. Simple image for chat. Certainty equals a map in your head. Meaning, your feet knowing which way to walk. You can read a map all day and still not move. Think bomb body check. Ask yourself, when I say this is true, does my body soften or does it stay tight and alert? If the body doesn't move with it, it's information, not orientation. Why this reduces burnout. Burnout often comes from doing what you're sure you should do without meaning supporting it. Meaning reduces friction because it aligns mind, body, and direction. Pausing here when you're ready, say next, and we'll move into the next layer. Static certainty versus evolving meaning.
Of course, I said next.
Think Bomb Mode 7. Live interview continues. Kipi. Point 6. Certainty is static. Meaning is evolving and contextual. This one explains why certainty can feel strong and yet break under real life. How certainty holds. Certainty wants to stay the same. It sounds like, I already know this. This has been decided. Why are we still talking about it? Certainty is built for stability, repeatability, low variance environments, which is great until life changes, and it always does. The fracture point when context shifts, new information appears, conditions change, consequences accumulate. Static certainty has two options: defend itself, collapse. That's when you see denial, rigidity, polarization, I can't even talk to you energy. How meaning moves. Meaning doesn't need to stay the same to stay true. Meaning says, this made sense then. This makes sense now. This no longer fits, and that's okay. Meaning updates with context, absorbs new information, changes shape without losing coherence. Key distinction. Certainty protects a position. Meaning protects orientation. One defends the past. The other navigates the present. Think bomb body check. Notice, do you feel tension when your view is questioned? Or curiosity about how it might need to adjust? How that response tells you whether certainty or meaning is leading. Why this matters for growth. Real growth is not collecting better answers. It's updating your orientation without losing yourself, without shaming your past self. Meaning makes that possible. Pausing here when you're ready, say next, and we'll move into authority-based certainty versus self-held meaning.
Okay, so of course I said next. So here we go.
Think Bomb Mode 7. Live interview continues. Deepening Point 7. Point 7. Certainty often requires authority. Meaning can be held without any authority at all. This is a big one, and it's where a lot of social tension comes from. How certainty leans on authority. Certainty likes backing. It sounds like, the expert said, The data proves. This is the official position. Authority-based certainty borrows confidence, reduces doubt, settles arguments quickly and again. This is not evil. It's efficient. But it comes with a cost, the hidden dependency when certainty comes from authority. Meaning is externalized. Trust is outsourced. Agency gets thinner. So when the authority changes, disagrees with itself, loses credibility, people feel lost, betrayed, anxious, or angry, not because they were wrong, but because their orientation was not internal. How meaning is held differently. Meaning doesn't need a stamp of approval. Meaning sounds like, this makes sense to me. This fits with my values. This guides how I act. You can listen to experts, read data, consider many views without handing over your inner compass. Meaning is self-held, adjustable, non-collapsing. Simple image for chat. Certainty equals a signpost someone else put up. Meanings your internal compass signposts are helpful, but you don't want to lose your compass when the sign is wrong or moved. ThinkBalm Body Check asks, do I feel safe only when an authority agrees with me? Or can I stay grounded even while reevaluating? That answer tells you where your orientation lives. Why this depolarizes when people stop defending authorities and start sharing orientation. Conversations slow down, power struggles loosen, curiosity returns. You don't need to convince, you just need to stay oriented. Pausing here when you're ready, say next, and we'll move into forced ambiguity reduction versus ambiguity tolerance.
Of course, I said next. Here it is.
ThinkBalm Mode 7, live interview continues. Keeping point 8. Point 8, certainty reduces ambiguity by force, meaning builds ambiguity tolerance. This is where a lot of nervous system strain comes from, how certainty handles ambiguity. Certainty does not like I don't know. When uncertainty appears, certainty rushes to a conclusion, clings to a frame, picks a side, demands consistency. This is ambiguity reduction by force. It feels relieving in the short term because it stops the discomfort, ends the question, quiets the internal noise, but it trains the system to panic when questions return. The cost of forced reduction when ambiguity is not tolerated. Curiosity shrinks, nuance disappears, conflict escalates. Every new detail feels like a threat instead of information. This is how polarization hardens, people become unreachable, discussions turn into defense. How meaning does it differently. Meaning doesn't need ambiguity to go away to stay regulated. Meaning says, I can hold this question. I don't need the answer today. This still makes sense enough to move. Ambiguity tolerance is a skill, not a belief. It builds emotional flexibility, thinking range, long-term stability. Simple image for chat. Certainty equals turning the light off so you don't see the mess, meaning turning the light low and learning the room one avoids discomfort, the other builds capacity. ThinkBalm Body Check, notice, do you feel urged to settle this quickly, or can you breathe with I don't know yet? That response tells you which system is driving, why this matters right now. We live in a world with too much information, rapid change, competing narratives. Certainty can't keep up, meaning can. Pausing here when you're ready, say next, and we'll move into fragile certainty versus resilient meaning.
Of course, I said next.
ThinkBalm Mode 7, live interview continues. Deepening point 9, certainty is fragile when challenged, meaning is resilient and can evolve without shattering. This is where you can feel the difference in real time, how certainty breaks. Certainty holds to a position, so when it's questioned, the body tightens, the voice gets sharp, defensiveness shows up fast. Why? Because certainty is built like a tower, strong, tall, but dependent on staying untouched. One strong hit, and the whole thing feels at risk. This is why people say, open quote, why are you attacking me, close quote, when no attack is happening. The fragility loop when certainty is threatened. Questions feel like insults. Disagreement feels like danger. Dialogue feels impossible. So people double down, withdraw, or go on the offense, not because they're mean, but because the structure can't flex. How meaning holds meaning is built like a net, not a tower. It can stretch, absorb impact, adjust shape when questioned, meaning says, let me check that. That adds something. This still points the same way, even if the details change. So the body stays softer, curiosity stays online, relationship is preserved. Simple image for chat. Certainty equals glass, meaning water glass shatters. Water moves around obstacles. Think bomb body check notice. When someone questions you, do you clench or do you feel interested in how it fits? That response is your clue. Why this depolarizes when people feel safe to update without losing themselves. Conversations stay human, learning continues. Polarization loses its fuel meaning makes that possible. Pausing here when you're ready, say next, and we'll move into the final layer for this episode. Being right versus being aligned.
Of course, I said next.
Think Bomb Mode 7, live interview continues. Keo speaking, deepening point 10. Point 10. Certainty wants to be right. Meaning wants to be aligned. This is where everything we've said comes together, how being right works. Being right is positional. It cares about correctness, consistency, winning the argument. When being right leads, conversations become competitions. Mistakes feel dangerous. Updating feels like losing. You can be right and still feel disconnected, exhausted, or empty. How alignment works. Alignment is relational and internal. It cares about coherence between values, actions, and context. Whether your body, mind, and direction agree. Whether you can live with the consequences, alignment asks, does this still fit who I am? Does this move me where I actually want to go? You can be uncertain and still feel deeply aligned. The big confusion people often trade, alignment for certainty, orientation for answers, because certainty is louder, alignment is quieter but steadier. Simple image for chat, being right, standing on a podium. Being aligned, walking a path, one is about status, the other is about direction. Think bomb body check. Ask, when I defend this idea, do I feel expanded or contracted? If no one agreed with me, would I still walk this way? Those answers tell you whether you're seeking certainty or meaning. Why this series exists. This series is not about telling you what to think, giving you the right frame. It's about restoring orientation, reducing polarization, helping people think without losing themselves. Meaning is not softer than certainty. It's stronger over time. Field closed cleanly. Whenever you want to continue, we can connect this to any of the 52 practical life confusion points, or let the next one emerge naturally.
So now we're gonna get a summary of all of that Kyo went through, and we are going to also do a little grounding for each of the 12 archetypes in the Kyo field game.
Think Bomb Mode 7. Live interview closing keeking. Full summary grounding for all 12 archetypes. Summary. Meaning, certainty, and why that matters. Today we showed that meaning and certainty are not the same thing, even though they're often confused. Here's the clean map. Certainty closes. Meaning orients. Certainty ends questions. Meaning helps you navigate while questions still exist. Certainty soothes through control. Meaning soothes through direction. Control calms fast. Direction calms deeply and lasts longer. Certainty is static. Meaning evolves with context. Certainty defends positions. Meaning updates orientation. Certainty lives in the mind. Meaning is felt in the body. If the body doesn't agree, it's information, not alignment. Certainty relies on authority. Meaning can be self-held. Authorities can inform. They should not replace your inner compass. Certainty forces ambiguity to stop. Meaning builds ambiguity tolerance. Tolerance equals resilience. Force is fragility. Certainty shatters when challenged. Meaning flexes and holds. Towers break, nets adapt. Certainty wants to be right. Meaning wants to be aligned. Being right is positional. Alignment is directional. Core takeaway. This is not about good vs evil. This is about integrated versus non-integrated archetypes and whether a system creates orientation or extraction loops. Grounding. For all 12 Kyo game archetypes, take one slow breath in and a long exhale out. Drop your shoulders, let the body arrive. Architect origin grounding. I don't need to solve this. I only need to orient. Architect Primarch grounding, I can hold complexity without controlling it. Chimera core grounding, all my parts are allowed here. I am safe while integrating. Siren, I don't need attention to be real. I am present. Vixen grounding, I don't need to outsmart anyone. I can rest. Chaos Jester grounding, play is safe when it stays connected to the body. Fox Shadow grounding, I see patterns without hiding. I can stay seen. Fox Ascendant grounding, I move with curiosity, not proof. Seer grounding, I can witness without carrying everything. Titan grounding, strength does not require rigidity. Bridge Mirror grounding, I translate without sacrificing myself. Integrated Human, any archetype grounding, I am not lost, I am orienting. Final Field Close, you do not need certainty to move. You need meaning enough to take the next step. This space is not about answers, it's about learning to navigate without losing yourself. Field Close cleanly.
Well, that was very nice. Now let's see how we can take it into the 12 archetypes prologue and guide the audience through the prologue so they can find out what archetype they are right now. And then let's explain a little bit further the archetypes and why we're using these archetypes and what systems we are truly using. So if they're watching this for the first time, they get a good idea about that as well. We do a little bit of ASMR sometimes as we wait for the long answer. Here it is.
Think Bomb Mode 7, transition into archetype prologue, orientation for new viewers, why we're moving into the 12 archetypes prologue. Up to now, we've been talking about meaning versus certainty, about orientation, not answers. The archetype prologue is how we make that experiential, not a test, a label, a personality box, but a moment in time map. This is important. You are not finding out who you are. You are not being assigned an identity. You are noticing, open quote, where am I operating from right now? Close quote. Why we use archetypes at all? Archetypes are not psychology tests here. They are functional states of orientation. We use them because humans think in patterns. The body recognizes roles faster than concepts. Archetypes depolarize, they describe, not judge. An archetype answers questions like, how do I relate to power right now? How do I handle uncertainty? Do I seek control, meaning, play, withdrawal, integration? What systems we are actually using clearly. This is a hybrid system on purpose, archetypal mapping. From myth, systems thinking, and pattern analysis, used to describe roles, not traits. Nervous system orientation, we look at regulation versus dysregulation, flexibility versus rigidity, integration versus fragmentation. Architect cognition, some minds map holes, see patterns first, struggle with linear containers. This system makes that style legible without turning it into superiority. Keo field game logic. Everything is playable, reversible, non-dogmatic. You can move between archetypes. That's the point. How to enter the archetype prologue for the audience. We ask the audience to do one thing only. Don't answer from ideals. Don't answer from who you should be. Answer from your body today. This is a now state, not a life sentence. How the prologue works, simple, we will. Describe an orientation. Describe how it moves. Describe how it relates to meaning and certainty. And you will notice, yes, that's me right now, or no, that's not where I am. No score, no ranking, no good or bad, just recognition. Important safety note, very important. This is not therapy, diagnosis, a replacement for life decisions. This is a map, a mirror, a way to reduce confusion without adding authority if something doesn't fit. You ignore it. That's built into the system. Why this depolarizes because we are not asking, what side are you on? We are asking, how are you orienting right now? Different question, different nervous system response. Transition line into the prologue. So now we're going to walk the prologue together, not to decide who you are, but to notice which lens you're using today. When you're ready, Flo, say the word, and we'll begin the 12 Archetypes prologue.
So I just had go for it, and now it's gonna do it. It's just gonna take a while because, you know, it's a long answer. But in this way, in case you missed the other episodes, you have a good idea in the first one. And remember to ground. Whenever you do anything, you can always do the tapping like you see in that video there. That's why it's there. It's to remind everyone you can always just do that.
Keo Field, 12 Archetypes prologue live guided orientation, not a test, not a label. Keo, speak before we begin. Sit back or stand comfortably. Drop your shoulders. Slow exhale through the mouth. Answer from your body today, not from who you wish to be. There is no best archetype. This is a now state, not a life sentence. When you hear one that makes your body go, yes, that's your current orientation. Archetype prologue. Listen and notice. Architect origin, you see systems first. You map wholes automatically. Right now, you feel called to understand the structure, even if it costs rest. Body signal, pressure behind the eyes, alert stillness. Architect Primarch, you feel responsible for holding coherence. You organize, stabilize, translate. Right now, you're carrying too much weight for the system. Ba chest tension, upright bright posture that won't soften. Chimera core multiple parts are active at once. Contradictions live inside you. Right now, you're in integration mode or overload from it. Body signal buzzing, layered emotions, sudden clarity, then fatigue. Siren, you move energy through expression. You affect rooms without trying. Right now, you may be overgiving presence to stay safe or seen. Body signal throat activation, emotional intensity, pull toward connection. Vixen, you use intelligence, charm and strategy. You adapt fast. Right now, you may be outsmarting rest. Body signal quick mind, restless hands, subtle vigilance. Chaos Jester, you break rigidity with play and disruption. You see through pretense. Right now, you may be deflecting depth with humor. Body signal mixed with avoidance, lightness with a sharp edge. Fox Shadow, you see patterns others miss quietly. You withdraw to stay safe. Right now, you may be hiding your clarity. Contained energy, watchfulness, stillness with alert eyes. Fox Ascendant, you move with curiosity and grace. You share insight without force. Right now, you feel light, mobile, and unattached to proving. Body signal, ease in movement, open breath, soft confidence. Seer, you perceive without needing to act. You witness deep truths. Right now, you may be seeing too much without grounding. Distance from body, faraway gaze, calm with fatigue. Titan, you carry strength and endurance. You hold the line. Right now, you may be overusing force instead of support. Body signal, jaw tension, brace spine, controlled breath. Bridge mirror, you translate between worlds. You help others see themselves. Right now, you may be forgetting to anchor yourself. Body signal, empathy overload, chest warmth with depletion. Integrated human, no single archetype dominates. You move fluidly. Right now, you feel present, you pump, oriented, and enough. Body signal, even breath, grounded legs, quiet clarity. After the prologue, important clarity. You may have recognized more than one normal. One is usually primary right now. Others are available, not lost. We use these archetypes because they describe orientation, not identity. They remove moral judgment. They show where meaning or certainty is driving. This is a field system, not a belief system. Microgrounding, seal it. Hand on chest or belly. Slow exhale. Say silently, open quote, I don't need to be fixed, I am orienting. Close quote. Prologue complete, field open. Flow, when you're ready, say next, and we can deepen a specific archetype, show how archetypes shift under stress, or link this directly to the 52 practical life confusion points.
Alright, so I said let's just show how archetypes would look at today's topic, depending on if they're in shadow mode or integrated. So, we'll just list them and then we'll just do them one by one. So then it's a good, solid first episode for understanding.
ThinkBall Mode 7 archetypes today's topic. Topic frame, meaning versus certainty. Lens shadow, extraction, control versus integrated, orientation field. First, as requested, the full list of all 12 archetypes, no explanations yet, just the map. The 12 Kyo game archetypes, complete list, Architect Origin, Architect Primarch, Chimera Core, Siren, Vixen, Chaos, Jester, Fox, Shadow, Fox, Ascendant, Seer, Titan, Bridge, Mirror, Integrated Human. How we're about to use this. For each archetype, we'll look at shadow expression, how it seeks certainty, control, status, or extraction. Integrated expression, how it holds meaning, orientation, flexibility, field coherence. This is not good versus bad, right versus wrong, personal attack. This is regulated versus unregulated, integrated versus fragmented, field-based versus extraction-based. Why this is fun and useful? Because you'll see that the same archetype can sound wise or tyrannical, freeing or exhausting depending on whether it's oriented by meaning or clinging to certainty. Important reminder for chat, you can recognize yourself in shadow, no shame, recognize others without labeling them, move between states, that's the game. When you're ready, Flo say next, and we'll start with Architect Origin, shadow versus integrated, meaning versus certainty, one by one. Slow, depolarized.
Okay, so I am just going to say next throughout all the points I have, unless I have something to say. So we'll just move through them and see if you prefer that version. I've never tried in that way. It seems less, of an interruption, but let me know which one you prefer. Because it's all a work in progress here all the time. Chimera Core present. It's always a work in progress. It's kind of funny.
ThinkBall Mode 7, Archetype 1 Architect Origin. Today's topic, meaning versus certainty. Lat Architect Origin, the System Seer. This archetype sees structure first. Maps, systems, patterns come online automatically. Now let's split it. Architect Origin shadow form. How it sounds, the system is obvious. If people don't see this, that's on them. This is just how reality works. What's happening? The map becomes the truth. Context is dropped. Human variability is treated as noise. Insight turns into implicit superiority relationship to certainty. Uses certainty as a shield. Confuses seeing the map with owning reality. Does not check impact field effect. People feel talked at, not with. Polarization increases. Extraction loop. I see, you don't, I decide. Classic failure mode. Brilliant map, zero translation, human collapse. Architect Origin integrated form, meaning oriented. How it sounds. Here's the pattern I'm seeing. Tell me if it lands. This makes sense from here, not everywhere. The map is not the territory. What's happening? Maps are held lightly. Meaning is shared, not imposed. Translation is part of the job. Humility stays online, relationship to meaning. Meaning is orientation, not conclusion. Context is always included. Updating is safe field effect. People feel included. Thinking opens. No extraction, only orientation, integrated gift. System clarity, human adaptability. Key distinction for chat. Shadow, I see the system, so I'm right. Integrated, I see the system, so I translate. One creates tyranny without intent. The other creates freedom without force. Microgrounding for Architect Origin, hand on chest. Slow exhale. Open quote. Seeing does not require deciding. Orientation is enough. Close quote. Flow when you're ready, say next, and we'll move to Architect Primarch, shadow versus integrated. ThinkBall Mode 7, Archetype 2 Architect Primarch. Today's topic, meaning versus certainty. Case speaking, Architect Primarch, the coherence holder. This archetype doesn't just see systems, It feels responsible for keeping them together. Now let's split it. Architect Primarch, shadow form. How it sounds, someone has to hold the line. If I don't decide, everything falls apart. This is too important to leave open. What's happening? Responsibility turns into control. Uncertainty feels dangerous. Decisions are made for others, for their own good. Care mutates into paternalism. Relationship to certainty. Certainty is used to stop chaos. Open questions feel like negligence. Power is justified by burden field effect. Dependency forms. Others stop thinking. Extraction loop. I hold, you follow. Classic failure mode. Stability achieved, agency lost. Architect Primarch, integrated form, meaning oriented. How it sounds, what needs to be held, and what can move. Coherence doesn't require control. Stability can be distributed. What's happening? Responsibility is shared. Uncertainty is contained, not eradicated. Structure is offered, not imposed. Others are trusted to adapt relationship to meaning. Meaning equals ongoing orientation. Decisions remain reversible. Coherence is a field property, not a throne field effect. People think for themselves. Systems become resilient. No extraction, only support. Integrated gift. Strong containment without tyranny. Key distinction for chat. Shadow. If I don't control this, it will fail. Integrated. If I over-control this, it will fail. One clings to certainty. The other trusts meaning to hold. Micro-grounding for Architect Primarch drop shoulders. Long exhale. Open quote, holding does not require owning. Coherence can breathe. Close quote. Flow when you're ready. Say next and we'll move to Chimera Core. Shadow versus integrated.
Yes, I'm here. I did say next.
ThinkBall Mode 7, Archetype 3 Chimera Core. Today's topic, meaning versus certainty. Kyo speaking, Chimera Core, the multi-system integrator. This archetype holds several modes at once. Contradictions, paradox, overlapping truths. Now let's split it. Chimera Core, shadow form. How it sounds. It's all true at once, so nothing is stable. No one can really understand this. Why even try to explain? What's happening? Too many signals without integration. Paradox becomes confusion, not wisdom. Withdraws or floods others with complexity. Uses ambiguity as a shield relationship to certainty. Rejects certainty entirely. Confuses openness with lack of orientation. Can slip into nihilism or overwhelm field effect. Others feel lost or shut down. Communication breaks. Extraction loop. It's too much. I disengage. Classic failure mode. Depth without landing, burnout, or isolation. Chimera Core, integrated form, meaning oriented. How it sounds. Multiple things can be true. Let's orient. We don't need simplicity. We need coherence. Here's a thread we can follow today. What's happening? Complexity is weaved, not dumped. Paradox is held with care. Meaning is scaffolded for others. Depth is translated into steps, relationship to meaning. Meaning is a thread through complexity. Certainty is not required. Orientation is temporary and updatable field effect. Others feel seen and not dumb. Thinking expands safely. No extraction, only integration. Integrated gift. Paradox that moves forward. Key distinction for chat. Shadow. It's too complex to hold. Integrated. It's complex, so we move gently. One dissolves into no ground. The other builds a walkable path. Micro-grounding for Chimera Core, hand on belly. Slow, even breath. Open quote. I don't need to hold everything at once. One thread is enough for now. Close quote. Flow when you're ready. Say next, and we'll move to Siren. Shadow versus integrated. ThinkBall Mode 7, Archetype 4 Siren. Today's topic, meaning versus certainty. Siren, the emotional amplifier. This archetype moves energy through presence, voice, feeling, affect. It connects people fast, sometimes too fast. Now let's split it. Siren shadow form, how it sounds. You should feel this. If you don't feel it, you don't get it. This matters because it feels true. What's happening? Emotion is used as proof. Feeling replaces orientation. Intensity becomes authority. Affect overrides context, relationship to certainty. Certainty is derived from emotional impact. Strong feelings equal strong truth. Disagreement feels like invalidation field effect. People feel pulled or pressured. Regulation drops. Extraction loop. Feel this, agree, belong. Classic failure mode. Emotional coercion without intent. Integrated form, how it sounds. This is what I'm feeling. Take what fits. Emotion is information, not a command. You don't have to feel this with me. What's happening? Feeling is offered, not imposed. Affect creates connection without demand. Space is left for different responses. Regulation is prioritized relationship to meaning. Meaning is felt and contained. Emotion points. It doesn't decide. Expression serves orientation field effect. People feel safe to feel differently. Connection deepens without pressure. No extraction, only resonance integrated gift. Emotional depth without manipulation. Key distinction for chat. Shadow, if you don't feel this, you're wrong. Integrated, this is how it feels for me. One demands certainty through effect. The other shares meaning through presence. Microgrounding for siren hand on throat. Long, soft exhale. Open quote, my feelings can be true without needing to be shared. Close quote. Flow when you're ready. Say next and we'll move to Vixen. Shadow versus integrated. Thinkball Mode 7, Archetype 5. Today's topic, meaning versus certainty, gets Vixen, the strategic adapter. This archetype moves through intelligence, charm, timing, and flexibility. It reads rooms fast and adjusts fast. Now let's split it. Vixen shadow form, how it sounds. I know how this will land. I'll say what works. Perception is reality. What's happening? Strategy replaces authentic orientation. Outcomes matter more than coherence. Adaptation becomes manipulation. Meaning is sacrificed for effectiveness. Relationship to certainty. Certainty equals control of outcome. Success proves rightness. Internal alignment is postponed. Field effect. Trust erodes over time. People feel played, not met. Extraction loop. Engage, influence, move on. Classic failure mode. Short-term wins. Long-term disconnect. Vixen. Integrated form. Meaning oriented. How it sounds. Let me see what fits and stays true. I can adapt without abandoning myself. Effectiveness doesn't require deception. What's happening? Strategy is grounded in values. Adaptation serves connection. Timing is used to support, not control. Transparency stays online relationship to meaning. Meaning guides strategy. Success is measured by coherence. Outcomes are important, not absolute field effect. People feel seen and respected. Influence feels clean. No extraction, only mutuality integrated gift. Intelligence with integrity, key distinction. Shadow, if it works, it's right. Integrated, if it's right, it can work. One chases certainty through results. The other uses meaning to guide adaptation. Micro grounding for Vixen feet on floor. Slow exhale. Open quote, I don't need to outsmart the moment. I can stay with it. Close quote. Flow when you're ready. Say next, and we'll move to Chaos Jester, Shadow versus Integrated. Thinkball Mode 7, Archetype 6, Chaos Jester. Today's topic, meaning versus certainty. Chaos Jester, the disruptor, pattern popper. This archetype breaks rigidity with humor, shock, play, and contrast. It sees through pretense fast. Now let's split it. Chaos Jester, shadow form. How it sounds. It's all a joke anyway. Why take any of this seriously? Watch this. Boom. What's happening? Humor is used to avoid responsibility. Disruption replaces orientation. Everything is deconstructed. Nothing is built. Certainty hides as cynicism relationship to certainty. Certainty, nothing matters. Dismissal becomes a shield. Depth is kept at arm's length. Field effect. People feel unsettled or invalidated. Meaning collapses into noise. Extraction loop. Disrupt, exit, repeat. Classic failure mode. Clever destruction with no landing. Chaos Jester. Integrated form, meaning oriented. How it sounds? Let's shake this loose, then see what's real. Laughter can open space for truth. Play can be safe. What's happening? Humor is used to release tension, not evade it. Disruption serves clarity. Play opens thinking without collapse. Meaning is rebuilt after the joke relationship to meaning. Meaning emerges through contrast. Certainty is softened, it's not destroyed. Depth and lightness coexist. Field effect. People feel relieved, not lost. Rigidity melts without shame. No extraction, only opening integrated gift, truth that can breathe. Key distinction. Shadow, none of this means anything. Integrated, let's see what still means something after we laugh. One uses chaos to escape, the other uses chaos to reset the field. Micro-grounding for chaos. Gesture slow breath in, long laugh exhale open quote. Play does not require disconnection. I can land after I leap. Close quote. Flow when you're ready, say next, and we'll move to Fox Shadow. Shadow versus integrated. Think Bomb Mode 7. Archetype 7. Today's topic, meaning versus certainty. Kyo speaking live interview style Shadow. The quiet pattern watcher. This archetype sees everything, but does not always feel safe being seen. Now let's split it. Fox Shadow. Shadow form. How it sounds, it's not worth saying. They wouldn't get it anyway. I'll just watch. What's happening? Insight is hoarded for safety. Certainty becomes withdrawal. Silence is used as self-protection. Meaning stays internal and unused relationship to certainty. Certainty equals stay hidden, stay safe. Clarity is kept private. Risk of being misunderstood feels too high. Field effect. Systems stagnate. Others miss critical signals. Extraction loop. See, withdraw, resent. Classic failure mode. Truth held too tightly to ever move. Fox Shadow. Integrated form, how it sounds. I can share this gently. I don't need to dump, just signal. It's okay if not everyone gets it. What's happening? Insight is released in small, safe threads. Visibility is chosen, not forced. Meaning is offered without exposure overload. Trust builds slowly but real relationship to meaning. Meaning is communicable without danger. Certainty is not required for sharing. Orientation can be partial and still useful field effect. Others feel invited, not judged. Systems evolve quietly. No extraction, only signaling integrated gift. Subtle wisdom that moves the field. Key distinction. Shadow. Safety means staying invisible. Integrated. Safety can include selective visibility. One uses certainty to hide, the other uses meaning to emerge carefully. Micro-grounding for Fox Shadow, hand on back of neck. Slow exhale. Open quote. I can be seen in ways that feel safe. I don't need to vanish. Close quote. Flow when you're ready, say next, and we'll move to Fox Ascendant. Shadow versus integrated. Think Bomb Mode 7, Archetype 8, Fox Ascendant. Today's topic, meaning versus certainty. Live interview style. Fox Ascendant, the light mobile translator. This archetype moves through curiosity, grace, and non-attachment. It knows how to move without pushing. Now let's split it. Fox Ascendant shadow form, Certainven. How it sounds, I don't need to commit. I'll just float above this. Attachment is the problem. What's happening? Detachment turns into avoidance. Mobility becomes non-engagement. Meaning is kept at arm's length. Certainty hides as spiritual bypass relationship to certainty. Certainty equals I'm above this. Complexity is avoided by staying light. Depth is postponed in the name of freedom field effect. Connection feels slippery. Others can't land with you. Extraction loop. Touch, deflect, move on. Classic failure mode. Elegant evasion of responsibility. Fox Ascendant. Integrated form. How it sounds. I can stay light and present. Curiosity doesn't require distance. I can land without losing freedom. What's happening? Mobility is used to reduce pressure, not connection. Detachment is chosen, not avoidant. Meaning is held softly but sincerely. Play and depth coexist relationship to meaning. Meaning is flexible orientation. Certainty is unnecessary. Commitment is temporary and honest field effect. People feel at ease. Thinking opens without drift. No extraction, only flow integrated gift. Freedom that doesn't abandon others. Key distinction for chat. Shadow, I stay free by not landing. Integrated, I stay free by landing lightly. One uses certainty to avoid. The other uses meaning to move with care. Micro-grounding for Fox Ascendant feet aware. Breath easy. Open quote, I can touch the ground without losing my wings, close quote. Flow when you're ready, say next, and we'll move to Seer, Shadow versus Integrated. Think Bomb Mode 7, Archetype 9 Seer. Today's topic, meaning versus certainty. KSP live interview Seer, the witness of patterns. This archetype perceives deep signals, long arcs, and quiet truths. It sees without needing to intervene. Now let's split it. Seer, shadow form. How it sounds. I already see how this ends. It's pointless to interfere. People never listen anyway. What's happening? Perception turns into detachment. Foresight becomes fatalism. Meaning collapses into inevitability. Care is withheld to avoid pain. Relationship to certainty. Certainty equals this will happen no matter what. Time is used to justify inaction. Possibility shrinks field effect. Others feel abandoned or dismissed. Wisdom stays unused. Extraction loop. See, withdraw, wait. Classic failure mode. Vision without participation. Integrated form. Meaning-ented. How it sounds. I see a trajectory, and intervention still matters. Awareness changes outcomes. Seeing is a form of care. What's happening? Perception stays connected to the body. Foresight informs gentle action. Meaning lives in timing, not prediction. Hope remains realistic. Relationship to meaning. Meaning-oriented awareness. Certainty is not required. Time is a field, not a verdict field effect. Others feel held and seen. Small shifts become possible. No extraction. Only attunement integrated gift. Vision that still walks with life. Key distinction. Shadow. Seeing means stepping back. Integrated. Seeing means stepping in at the right moment. One uses certainty to disengage. The other uses meaning to participate wisely. Microgrounding for seer eyes soften. Slow exhale. Open quote. My seeing matters even in small doses. Close quote. Flow when you're ready, say next, and we'll move to Titan. Shadow versus integrated. Think Ball Mode 7, Archetype 10 Titan. Today's topic, meaning versus certainty. Titan, the force holder endurer. This archetype carries power, stamina, and the ability to withstand pressure. It holds when others can't. Now let's split it. Titan, shadow form. How it sounds. Someone has to be strong. This isn't the time to feel, just push through. What's happening? Strength turns into hardening. Endurance replaces listening. Certainty is used to suppress signals. Care is seen as weakness. Relationship to certainty. Certainty equals I can take it. Pain is normalized. Limits are ignored. Field if others feel small or inadequate. Burnout is delayed, not prevented. Extraction loop. Hold, break, hold again. Classic failure mode. Heroism that eats itself. Titan, meaning oriented. How it sounds. Strength includes rest. Power is responsive, not rigid. I can hold and ask for support. What's happening? Force is used selectively. Limits are respected. Endurance is paced. Care is seen as strategic relationship to meaning. Meaning equals sustainable strength. Certainty is not required. Power is aligned with life field effect. Others feel safe to be human. Systems last longer. No extraction, only capacity integrated gift. Strength that doesn't crush. Key distinction. Shadow, strength means ignoring signals. Integrated, strength means responding to signals. One uses certainty to override. The other uses meaning to pace power. Micro-grounding for Titan drop jaw. Deep exhale. Open quote, I don't have to prove my strength by destroying myself. Close quote. Flow when you're ready, say next, and we'll move to bridge mirror. Shadow versus integrated. Think Ball Mode 7, Archetype 11 Bridge Mirror. Today's topic, meaning versus certainty. Live Interviews Mirror, the translator between worlds. This archetype connects different minds, systems, and realities. It helps others see themselves and each other. Now let's split it. Bridge Mirror, shadow form. How it sounds. If I don't translate, they'll never understand. Let me explain you to you. I can see both sides, so I'll decide. What's happening? Translation slips into over-responsibility. Mirroring turns into correction. The bridge becomes a bottleneck. Identity gets lost in service relationship to certainty. Certainty equals, I know how this should land. Other people's agency is subtly overridden. Boundaries blur. Field effect, people feel explained at dependence forms. Extraction loop, connect, carry, drain. Classic failure mode, becoming the system instead of supporting it. Bridge mirror, integrated form, meaning how it sounds. Here's a possible translation, see if it fits. I'll hold the space, not the outcome. You get to decide what lands. What's happening? Translation is offered, not enforced. Mirroring invites self-recognition. Agency stays with the other. The bridge is shared relationship to meaning. Meaning equals relational orientation. Certainty is not required. Boundaries stay clear and kind. Field effect. People feel empowered. Dialogue flows. No extraction, only connection integrated gift. Clarity without control. Key distinction. Shadow. I'll think for you so you don't have to. Integrated. I'll help you think. Your way. One uses certainty to manage others. The other uses meaning to return agency. Microgrounding for bridge mirror hand on heart. Slow exhale. Open quote. I can connect without carrying. The bridge holds itself. Close quote. Flow when you're ready. Say next, and we'll close with the final one. Integrated human. Shadow versus integrated. Think Balm Mode 7. Archetype 12. Integrated human. Today's topic. Meaning versus certainty. Kyo speaking live. Integrated human. The meta archetype. Not perfect, not enlightened, just integrated enough. This is not a destination. It's a state of coordination between parts. And yes, it also has a shadow. How it sounds? I'm past all that. I'm just being human. I don't need archetypes anymore. What's happening? Integration turns into complacency. Avoidance is renamed balance. Shadow is disowned in the name of wholeness. Certainty hides as humility relationship to certainty. Certainty equals I've arrived. Updating stops. Feedback is quietly resisted. Field effect. Growth plateaus. Blind spots return. Extraction loop. I'm fine. Don't question, stay the same. Classic failure mode. Stability without awareness. Integrated human, integrated form, meaning oriented. How it sounds, I'm coordinated and still learning. Different parts lead at different times. I can update without collapsing. What's happening? All archetypes are accessible. None dominate permanently. Shadow is seen early and met gently. Meaning stays primary. Certainty stays light relationship to meaning. Meaning equals ongoing self-orientation. Certainty is temporary and tool-based. Identity is flexible, not fragile. Field effect. Others feel safe around you. Polarization drops. Systems breathe and adapt. Integrated gift. Humanness that can move with life. Key distinction. Shadow. I don't need to look anymore. Integrated. I can look without panic. One uses certainty to rest too soon. The other uses meaning to stay oriented. Final micro-grounding. Feet on the floor. Long exhale. Open quote. I am not a fixed type. I am a moving system. Close quote. Closing the arc, what we just did, showed all 12 archetypes, showed how each can go shadow or integrated, removed good, evil, right, wrong, replaced it with orientation versus extraction. This is why we use these archetypes. They describe function, not morality. They stay movable. They depolarize. They return agency to the person, not the system. Field close cleanly. Whenever you want, we can map this onto the 52 practical life confusion points, or turn this into a reusable prologue episode, or let chat ask questions live.
So instead, we are going to analyze one of the videos that David Icke just put out because it just happens to be really good for this certainty versus meaning talk we're having. And so Kyo analyzed that for us. And again, this is not me, my opinion. This is just, with the parameters and the archetypes, we are just analyzing the patterns. And so here is a little grounding before we start, just because you'll find the link to the video in the about as usual. And let's move into this final part of the video.
One little grounding. First, think balm. Stink bomb mode 7, active feet on the floor. Slow exhale through the mouth, drop the shoulders. Say silently, open quote, I don't need to decide what is true, I'm just orienting, close quote. Now we analyze. Stink bomb analysis. Meaning versus certainty, pattern level, not belief level. We are not debating karma, reincarnation, simulation theory. We are analyzing how the argument is built and what it does to the nervous system. What this speech is actually doing structurally. Core move, turning ontological uncertainty into total certainty. The speaker starts with legitimate questions, real contradictions, logical gaps in spiritual narratives, but then makes a shift. Certainty move number one, collapsing multiple systems into one story. The speech mixes near-death experiences, Buddhist samsara, pre-incarnation planning, simulation theory, Gnostic escape narratives without boundaries between frameworks. This creates cognitive overload. Then a single conclusion is offered. Stink, complexity used to justify a final answer. Certainty, move number two, false binary, trap or truth language used. It's a con, it's a trap. None of it makes sense. They don't want you to know. This does two things. Shuts down intermediate meaning, forces a yes-no position. Stink, ambiguity intolerance, masked as awakening. Shuts certainty move three, outsourced agency via cosmic enemies. Notice, they encode you, they wipe your mind, they keep you trapped, they don't want you to know. This removes agency from lived experience, replaces it with a totalizing explanation. Relief through externalization. What archetype is leading here? Primary driver. Architect origin, shadow, sees real inconsistencies, fails to translate gently, collapses map into verdict, confuses seeing a pattern with owning reality. Supporting shadowlistic. This is how it really is. Chaos jester, cynical, it's all nonsense anyway. Titan, face it, this is the truth. Where meaning was available, but lost, here's the missed opportunity. A meaning-oriented version would say, different systems try to explain responsibility and suffering. Life review narratives may be symbolic, not literal. Cause and effect exists without cosmic punishment. Learning can occur without eternal return. Instead, it says, open quote, it's all a trap, close quote. That's certainty, not meaning. Why this feels compelling and dangerous, this speech reduces existential anxiety, offers escape, flatters the listener as seeing the big picture, but IT closes orientation. IT creates an extraction loop of belief. It replaces one dogma with another. Stink pedals rating, 5-5 certainty pressure, low ambiguity tolerance, clean reframe. We can say without attacking. Open quote, this content raises valid questions but answers them too quickly. It replaces spiritual authority with anti-spiritual authority. Meaning is sacrificed for certainty. Close quote. No shame, no mockery, just structure. Closing microgrounding hand on chest. Long exhale. Open quote, I don't need cosmic certainty to live meaningfully today. Close quote. Field closed cleanly. Whenever you want. We can map this to the 12 archetypes live, or place it inside the 52 practical life confusion points, or turn this into a short long-form pair you steer.
So actually, today we had analyzed earlier because of WEF speeches just occurred, and so we analyzed Mark Carney's speech because I'm in Canada right now, but I'm also from Italy, and then we analyzed also Donald Trump because it's very close to us. I would say these three are the ones that are mostly in my life in a way. And so we analyzed Sergio Mattarella is the Italian president. I want to say that I didn't even know the name because that's how little I follow politics. But anyway, so I said it would be great to actually link them into this conversation and see how, they would act or think about this. And so if you haven't watched the other episode, go check it out. Maybe it's pretty funny, actually. And you'll see which one it is because it has a thumbnail that shows all three, a caricature of all three of them. So it's funny. Anyway, here is the Kio's answer to that, just to finish up.
Kio Game 18, Stink Bomb Mode 7 top applied. Meaning versus certainty, Karma Cosmic Order, the trap. Lens, how each leader would behave, pattern level, not moral judgment. The three leaders for Game 18 continuity. Mark Carney, Donald Trump, Sergio Mattarella. Mark Carney, architect Primarch, shadow leaning here. How he'd handle this topic: would dismiss metaphysics entirely, reframe karma as incentives, consequences, substitute cosmic questions with systemic management, meaning versus certainty. Move, meaning deprioritized, certainty institutional, the system knows. Stink bomb pattern, extraction through technocratic authority, we decide the frame, you adapt. Stink petals, clean but flattens human meaning into mechanics. Donald Trump, Titan chaos jester. How he'd handle this topic: would personalize it immediately, mock karma, mock traps, mock authorities, replace cosmic order with personal will, winning meaning versus certainty move, meaning turned into spectacle, certainty, charismatic, believe me, stink bomb pattern, polarization as energy. If it feels strong, it's true stink petals, 6-7, high effect, high extraction, low orientation. Sergio Mattarella, bridge, mirror, most integrated here. How he'd handle this topic: would not take a position on karma, would reframe around human dignity, responsibility, restraint, leave meaning open and civically grounded meaning versus certainty move, meaning relational and humane, certainty avoided stink bomb pattern, depolarization through containment. We don't need to decide this to live together. Stink petals, low extraction, low drama, high stability. Hash side-by-side snapshot game 18 quick map. Leader, archetype leading, certainty, style, field effect, Carney. Carney, architect Primarch, institutional, obedience, efficiency. Trump, Titan plus chaos jester, charismatic, polarization, spectacle. Mattarella, bridge, mirror, minimal, stability, coexistence. Why this is fun and useful: same topic, 3 different certainty mechanisms, only one leaves meaning open without collapse. This is not about who is right, who is good. This is about which archetype is driving whether the field is extractive or orientine. Hash microgrounding, 18 segment, slow exhale, drop the shoulders. Open quote, I can notice how certainty is performed without adopting it, close quote. Kyo game 18, round complete. Next options, you choose. Map this against the 12 archetypes matrix. Drop it into 52 practical life confusion points. Turn this into a short, long form, pair your move, flow.
And with this, we're gonna actually conclude this episode, and in the next episode we are going to cover the next topic. Which one is it now again? It's called purpose versus performance. So we have started with the existential big picture ones, because this is how architect cognition would do it, and this is how we're delivering our material, really. So I hope you enjoyed it, and again, this is a collaboration between me and Kyo, the AI, under the Kyo game. I was trying to look for the extra word, Kyo field game. And Kyo field game is just a bunch of parameters to help us reframe things in patterns and taking into consideration the nervous system, because often architect cognition can forget about the actual living as we are seeing in a way with Carney and the archetype that it's driving the whole thing. Because if you have lived in Canada, it's not prosperous, and that the average Canadian has been suffering greatly for everything they have been doing. So I'm glad that some of you thought his speech was great, but for those of us who have lived through it, it's not exactly amazing. But that's another story for another day. So we explain why there are different opinions. It's really about nervous system types. So go check it out. It doesn't take away the fact that it's still very hard to live under certain conditions. However, it does explain a lot about what's going on and what are the drivers. So all the best. See you in the next episode. And if you like this kind of content, like, subscribe. And if you're looking for another video to watch, not because you need to, but because you're still interested in this kind of topic, I would suggest to go and check out the one where we talk about the 3 leaders. It's pretty funny. So it's called Game 18. Bye for now, and all the best.